What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we've got some pretty interesting Destiny 2 news stuff to jump in and talk about. So there are a few things I want to round up about the Forsaken DLC. We're going to see systematic changes to the raids in the expansion. We also have words about characters and lore, but I want to round up a bunch of stuff about summer updates coming to Destiny 2, even more system changes for raids, new gear that we can acquire, exotic catalysts and some new places you can earn and upgrade those, plus changes to the Crucible reputation system. But then I want to talk about some really interesting stuff, what looks like a confirmation that Festival of the Lost will be returning, and this comes via the reveal for the Korean version of Destiny 2, which may sound like a strange thing to cover, but there is even going to be an exclusive character in this version of the game that you only get in this version of the game, and the Korean version is going to have some kind of live service models which operate very differently from what we have in D2 right now, so I want to talk about that stuff. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, a like is super appreciated below. Also be sure to let me know any thoughts that you have, but for now, let's jump straight into the news stuff. So as I mentioned, there has been a reveal for a Korean version of Destiny 2. You may be wondering why I'm even talking about this, but we do get some pretty interesting information. So this version of the game is actually going to be called Destiny Guardians, and it's launching exclusively on PC, so there is no console version. It will come on September 5th with all of the content we've had in D2 so far, as well as the Forsaken expansion at the same time. But we do see this image right here of the kind of live event schedule for Destiny 2. It shows the faction rallies, Iron Banner, Trials of the Nine. You even have Solstice of Heroes and Crimson Days, and these are two events which of course will have actually passed by the time this game launches. So they are going to run those events at a separate time, but also we can see the Festival of the Lost icon, so it looks like that event is going to be returning this year. Festival of the Lost in Destiny 1 was essentially the kind of Halloween event for the game. They brought in new quests, new things to do, cosmetic items, and even masks were added to the game. So I would take this as confirmation that we're going to see that event again. But then things get even more interesting. So meet a new character that you will only get in the Korean version of the game. So these images are from the kind of reveal for this. This character is called Yuna. The eagle-eyed guardians out there may have noticed already that she actually has the Eververse icon on her. So this is actually a replacement for Tess Everis in this version of the game. Also, considering this one is launching in Korea, you can see the kind of artistic difference in the character. The facial features and things like that are much more reminiscent of what you would see from Overwatch character design or something. And obviously this is to appeal to the new audience. But Eververse itself is actually going to be a more significant part of the game from what we can tell right now. There is going to be a new currency. It's called Green Flower. This is according to a translation, but this is going to be the money which is actually in-game. It goes on to say that every week you will be able to acquire the highest level of equipment, and that wording actually suggests that it's possible they'll be selling powerful gear in this version of Eververse, or gear which actually has an influence on gameplay, which of course is something that absolutely would not fly in, say, the European or American versions of the game. There are, however, some pretty strict laws on how this kind of stuff works in Korea, and it's not entirely clear what all of the systems will be for this. Chances are it's not likely to affect players around the rest of the world. And there's more reference to gear with some kind of power attached to it. You can benefit from using 4 kinds of top-rated game items free of charge every week. On top of this character Yuna will provide access to all of the DLC content. The Korean version will run on Korean dedicated servers for Battle.net, so it will be a segregated version of the game, and I'm sure it's going to have to be because you have these elements which are exclusive to the game, such as that new character Yuna. So I know we've spent a bit of time talking about this, but this is actually pretty significant for Destiny. Bungie and Activision Blizzard are absolutely embracing this new market, so I'll be curious to hear what you guys think about that. I'm sure there will be lots of mixed opinions about the content, the accessibility of the content, the new Eververse, which has been completely reworked and is obviously going to be pretty significant in the game, but let me know what you guys think below. Now though, I wanted to talk about some stuff regarding the Forsaken DLC and the updates that we'll see over the summer. So Sneaky Beaver on Twitter asked, with the new loadout system, will there be a return of carnage reports after beating raids? And Joe Blackburn said the team is actually really passionate about this. We want carnage reports to be available more regularly, but when we put it up against other feature improvements, it's had to take a back seat. So while improvements to carnage reports aren't currently on the horizon, hopefully before too long, we will be talking about some new raid features and changes you can expect expect in Forsaken. So there's confirmation that we will see some new raid features in Joe Blackburn's words. We should be getting details about how they're going to work soon. My Name is Bife made reference to Shin Malphur and the Shadows. Of course, there are a few reasons that this kind of story content would link well with Forsaken. You've got this kind of Western vibe. We've also seen a very curious thorn type weapon, and this has the potential to link to the Shadows of Yore. So there's been a lot of speculation that that could be a somewhat significant part of the story, but John Goff from Bungie said, "I appreciate it, but there are other stories to tell, and I'd caution against picking fights you cannot win." So it doesn't look like story-wise this will be a key feature of the expansion, and some people speculated that could mean that what we're seeing here, the Thorn style weapon, whatever it is not going to be linked to Shadows of Yore, and that also removes the possibility that the Drifter from Gambit is linked to this as well. I don't necessarily think that that is the case. Of course, when we get lore references, they can be from all over the place and drawing from all different kinds of influences, and so it's possible that a quest for this weapon could still tell us a little bit about Shadows of Yore. It could possibly be linked to it, but we're certainly not going to be seeing major story content based around it. So you may be interested to know about that. But regarding updates we'll get before Forsaken actually launches, somebody asked, can prestige exotic catalysts drop from any encounter? And Joe Blackburn said yes. So of course we are getting the new Legend of Acreus catalyst, as well as the Telesto and the Sleeper Simulant. These will drop across prestige raids and raid lairs, but the good news is you can get them from any encounter. So every time you clear an encounter, you've got the potential to get it dropped. You're not relying on defeating final bosses and stuff like that. And this could be useful for folks who don't have persistent raid teams as well. You're not actually required to complete the entire raid, unlike with the new raid weapons where you do need to complete the entire prestige raid lair for a chance at a 400 drop. On that subject, somebody said, when you say 400 power weapons, do you mean all weapons or actual power weapons? And Joe Blackburn confirmed every raid weapon will be available. So when you clear an entire prestige raid lair, you will get an RNG drop of any current raid weapon available across all of the raids and raid lairs. But these will drop at 400 guaranteed if it's the entire clear of the raid lair. T-Rex asked, are the ornaments for prestige lairs going to be new or what we can already see in game? And Joe Blackburn confirmed it is the ones you can preview in game. So if you have any armor from Eater of Worlds or the Spire of Stars, you can take a look at those ornaments right now. Personally, I'm not a big fan of this armor or the ornaments. Bit of a step down when you compare it to what we had from Age of Triumph and things like that. But nonetheless, you can take a look right now and decide whether you want to go after them. On the subject of catalysts though, something to confirm in case you missed it the other day, the strike catalyst in the game will be given a slight adjustment to drop chances in the update that we get on July 17th. So any of the ones that come from strikes, which are very rare, are going to have a slight increase in the chance to actually drop, and this includes the Skyburner's Oath, which drops from the Leviathan raid as well. Up next though, on the subject of Crucible, Pope Bear asked, I'm a little bit confused on this part of the blog post. Valor is what we get in the social playlist. Does that mean we will be double dipping, or is this a typo? And Kevin Yanis confirmed that competitive now double dips. So what this means is that you'll be able to earn Valor rank inside of competitive as well. So whenever you play comp, you're earning both the comp and the quick play version of your rank. They're also going to be adding Valor to Crucible Labs, Iron Banner and Trials of the Nine. Definitely a very welcome change. Kevin Yanis also confirmed 1.2.3 will fix the decay bug which is currently present on the competitive score for the rank. So there are going to be some good fixes there. Now that I wanted to round up a couple of interesting things real quick. Firstly, to talk about player population for Destiny 2. I had a brief look on Destiny Tracker's front page. We can see yesterday there was 422,000 players in the Crucible and 882,000 players in PvE content. Now this is actually a significant improvement to what we saw earlier on this year. I remember it dropping as low as just shy of 200k on some days in PvP, and it got especially concerning when it was around about 300,000 inside of PvE. Of course, this is what we were seeing a few months back when things were pretty dire, to be honest, especially as far as player sentiment. But here's another thing to take a look at. According to Charlemagne Bot back in March, these were the number of total pledges inside of the faction rally, or at least the ones it tracked. This was actually when it got it wrong and said that FWC was going to get the win, but of course FWC and Dead Orbit were very close. Regardless of that mistake though, if you move forward to right now, you can see that we've got 845,000 pledges. We're into the hundreds of thousands on every faction. It is reporting as FWC currently leading by, nearly double what Dead Orbit has. But one thing is for sure, the player numbers are significantly higher right now than what they have been for a little while. Also, if you're wondering about those stats right right there. This is according to Charlemagne Bot on Discord, and this is counting all of the users who have registered on Charlemagne Bot. So it's not everyone in the entire community, but it is currently reading that FWC have a significant lead. Something to throw in before I end the video is that there was a pretty cool video by Digic Pictures where they show off the making of Destiny 2's vanilla cinematics. So you can see a bunch of the kind of graphic development, the motion capture, various animations and things like that throughout different stages. So if that's interesting to you, it's definitely worth getting a look at. You see some pretty cool behind the scenes stuff as well. But guys, that is going to summarize the video. Plenty of stuff to talk about. Let me know your thoughts on that Korean version, the new Eververse character that we're seeing, and the potential that Festival of the Lost is returning to the game. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. If you have enjoyed the video though, a like is super appreciated below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe if you want to see a lot more Destiny 2 content. Check out my sponsor Into the AM. They have some awesome clothing in their store. You can save 10% on any of their shirts, hoodies, hats, bandanas, and a whole bunch of other cool accessories. Also, another quick shout, I am giving away a gaming chair with Coesus UK. They have some really neat products and you have a chance to win one of their awesome gaming chairs. All you need to do is be a subscriber on my channel. You can get bonus entries by following Coesus on Twitter and things like that, so I'll link that down below as well. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in, all of the recent support. Whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.